it's Kara and Dave back with today's Corona story time. I'm going to read a little bit from Harry's Trees, which is a novel by Jon Cohen. I just started reading this a few days ago, and I'm only a third of the way through, but so far I really like it, and the characters are just awesome. And I thought this little part of a chapter was really sweet. So I'm going to read a little bit about a librarian, and her name is Olive. She slid F back in its slot and with a groan took hold of the bookshelf and pulled herself upright. When she turned, she was startled by an apparition gliding through the morning light of the library entrance. She clutched her book bag tight and swallowed. Librarian that she was, Olive possessed a deeply organized mind. She went systematically through the possibilities. Was it death? Olive had always believed that death, when he came for her, would enter through the front doors of Pratt Library. She touched a hand to her heart, still beating. Not death. Another possibility? Raccoon? They were up in the joist, the little devils making themselves right at home. Or was it Oriana Jeffers? Oriana, is that you? For the last heart-wrenching year, Oriana Jeffers had been Pratt's Library's most important patron. That's what Olive should have said to Stu Gipner. You keep the lights on in a library the same way you keep the lights on in an emergency room of a hospital. Why don't you understand that, you parsimonious dimwit? Ordinarily, when the oak doors groaned open and someone entered Pratt Library, Fred the postman usually, or someone in quick need of the restroom, there would be a burst of sunlight, a bright, harsh intrusion on the dim and quiet. But when Oriana Jeffers came through those doors, the light transmuted into moonbeams and star shimmer, and all the books on the shelves fluttered awake. Oh joy, they whispered, a reader. Olive would grin and give Oriana a big wave. Is that my favorite customer, she called? Is that Oriana, Eagle Dare, Feathertop, Frogalina, Cinderella, Athena, Snow Queen Jeffers? You can just call me Oriana, Oriana would answer, waving back. She adored Olive Perkins. Olive was all the best things. She was incredibly wrinkly and smelled like pipe tobacco, and she had a sudden laugh that scared the spit out of you, and she hated the computer. But she'd use it to search the ends of the county for an interlibrary loan copy of the book you wanted if Pratt Library didn't have it on its shelves. Also, she used curse words. Oh, may I call you Oriana? May I just? Olive would reply. Another thing Oriana liked about Olive was that she greeted you with a handshake like you were a grown-up, and she let you call her by her first name. That's what names are for, Olive explained. If you don't use them, they wither and blow away on the western wind, which was yet another thing Oriana liked. Olive talked like a book. Wither and blow away on the western wind. Compared to Olive, other adults spoke in grunts. Olive would come forward and shake Oriana's hand, peering past her to Amanda Jeffers out front in her blue pickup truck. Olive would wave and Amanda would reciprocate with the smallest possible nod, then drive off to do errands. Amanda was not a fan of Olive in her library. Olive's and Oriana's library ritual was always the same. Greeting, handshake, and then the echo. Olive knew that ceremony and routine were important to a child engulfed in moonbeams and possessed by grief. Oriana would cross the chipped brown linoleum floor, a travesty from a library makeover in the 50s, to the circulation desk and slide the book she was carrying in her arms into the return slots. The sound of the books hitting the metal cart echoed off the marble walls. Off that echo, Oriana would clap her hands to make the library echo again. In Olive's library, Oriana was encouraged to do things like clap her hands loudly. You've earned the privilege, Olive told her back when Oriana started coming so frequently after her father's death. You are now officially a voracious reader second class. I am a voracious reader first class, which I earned by reading the entire Oxford English Dictionary, which is over 300,000 entries. But it took me 8 years, child, so don't be disheartened. As a VR2, you have certain inalienable rights and privileges, foremost of which is a VR2 is allowed to clap her hands in the library whenever the hell the mood strikes her. Olive then proceeded to lead Oriana around the floor of the library, demonstrating the best places to get an echo. Since no one ever came in, there was no one to disturb. They clapped and they hooted. Olive called out to her, I'd like to shoot off a pistol in here one day. That'd be an echo. I'd shoot the raccoons that live up in the attic. She pointed to an ever-widening hole in the high ceiling above the nonfiction section. Oriana looked up and saw a pair of glittering eyes peering out from the dark. Not a good idea, Oriana said. You don't know who that raccoon might turn out to be. Oriana knew all about Actagion, who'd been turned into a stag, and Ulysses' men transformed into pigs by Circe, and the Frog Prince and Beauty and the Beast and the Enchanted Snake and the Golden Crab. Yes, metamorphosis, but I'm pretty certain, Olive said, that the raccoons running through the walls and ceilings have always been raccoons. Not every animal is an enchanted human, do you think, dear? Oriana sucked on her lower lip and tugged at her ponytail. I don't know, but I think around here a higher amount of them than usual are enchanted. We have lots of forests, you know, and more stars at night. And we have mountains and valleys, though of course our mountains are more like big hills because we live in the Appalachian Basin. Olive clucked her tongue. You are a wondrously bright child. Oriana smiled. But it is special here, don't you think, Olive? Because of the mountains and the stars? And it's the endless mountains we live in. Endless means infinite, and infinite means anything could happen. Olive felt the urge to pick up a magazine from the periodicals rack to fan away the heat of this child. But then she thought, Oriana is on a difficult journey, and as long as she has a book with her, she will come to no harm. Olive wished Amanda Jeffers understood that. Well, perhaps she did. The act of continually allowing Oriana to come to this place was an acquiescence. One rarely knew what Amanda thought, but yes, Olive decided Amanda's action spoke for herself. She'd entrusted Oriana to Pratt Library. If only Amanda would come in to pick up a book too, once in a while, it would help her ease her own pain. Dean Jeffers dying so young, the abrupt end of his life and love, Olive could not bear the thought of it. That's enough for now.